Greetings, millionaires and future millionaires. I'm Beene, a 28-year retired lieutenant colonel and former F-16 pilot. During the last 20 years, I side hustled real estate and turned one single family house into a multi-million-dollar apartment portfolio with awards along the way. Today is a continuation of our education series, so that in each topic and category you can educate and train yourself to be a wiser investor and become a better millionaire. Today's topic is very important and very broad, but it may be one of the most difficult but yet important challenges to overcome. That challenge is how to overcome the fear of investing. Now, I'm calling you today, or I'm videoing this today from my house as a result of the stay-at-home order from the corona crisis of 2019. In the last couple of weeks, I, like yourself, have been learning to work from home and have been inundated with the changes of this global virus that has put us all in some type of panic and also stranglehold our business and economy. I would never have thought 3 weeks ago that our neighborhood and local restaurants would have been shut down, but that's exactly what's happened. And that governmental restriction has imparted a fear, if you will, on the virus and then also on our local businessmen and our day-to-day population. What's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen to my employment? How will that change? Those things create fear and sometimes panic. As an investor, how do you deal with that? How do you confidently go out and make offers on property? How do you confidently collect investor groups to contribute money to your investment? How do you make that decision to buy a $10 million project? There is a lot of fear, there is a lot of uncertainty. Today we're going to talk about that because you've got to learn to embrace that and you've got to learn to be confident in that. So there's 3 things I want to talk about in this very short video. One is the principles of investing that can help you move through that fear and that emotion with confidence. Number 2 is developing an investment strategy that will help undergird your fear, confidence, and your presentations. And then the third one is the remedy for fear, which is action. So let's talk about the first, the principles of investment fundamentals. Anytime you invest, it's imperative that you understand the principles that are in play. If you don't understand an investment, you shouldn't be investing in it. I always say the confused mind always says no. So the benefit of real estate is that the components of real estate are easy to understand. Location, property appeal, curb appeal, the market conditions, the property conditions itself, old, new, modern amenities, out-of-date communities. Those components are observable. You can drive by. You can look at areas where there is a lot of people moving into that area. The components of what makes a piece of real estate valuable should be easily understood and observed. So that's the first thing that I look for when I'm thinking about a principle, understanding the investment fundamentals. Now, realize you don't know everything, you will never know everything, and you can't know everything. So when you're approaching a decision and you have uncertainty, which may stem fear or anxiety, you have to be comfortable realizing and understanding that there are some variables that will not that will only be forecast. You do not know, or you do not have the ability to accurately forecast, and that will lead a certain level of uncertainty. You just have to realize that in every environment. How do you conquer that? How do you move through that? The way I do is I combat fear and uncertainty with knowledge. Now, I don't know everything, nor does everyone, but I search out experts in that field and I seek their advice and I try to listen carefully with an unbiased ear. I try to look at first-hand data, not filtered data, second, third, or data presented to me by a sales agent. I ask them, where did you get that? Show me the source documents. And then I take that to an expert. What do you think of this? So those are the principles that I use to move through fear. In getting those principles understood, I develop an investment strategy. Okay? The sound investment strategy with realistic goals will help you generate and stand on your confidence so that you can take that step forward, even though it may be frightening, anxious, or uncertain. What are those investment strategies in multifamily? Well, it's a gamut between four that are most successfully used. On the left side, on the value add, it's opportunistic is a strategy that you'll hear frequently in the industry. Then it's opportunistic, and then value add. Core plus, and then core. With my right hand here, this is more of an income-based strategy. The left hand, being opportunistic, is more value-based. Those are generally the four categories of investment strategies that most multifamily investors deal with and talk about. Tried and true, each one reflects a different property characteristic and a different business strategy. So make sure that you're clear on what your strategy is and how that strategy fits your personal financial requirements. Okay? And then be disciplined. An undisciplined investor is a gambler, and that is very scary. So make sure you are disciplined in the execution and the alliance behind your real estate strategy. Next thing you want to do is play long ball. Okay? You can't bounce in and out of real estate like some investors bounce in and out of the equity market. You have to be patient and realize that real estate is hard to get into and hard to get out of. That makes it a more liquid investment, but it also makes it more stable. It's kind of like this analogy. Is if you watch a child with a yo-yo, he'll throw the yo-yo, it'll go down, and then it'll come up. But I like to say, if that child is walking uphill, practicing his yo-yo, sometimes the yo-yo goes down. But as long as he's going uphill, he's making progress. In my viewpoint, the way I help overcome fear is I have to realize, even though that yo-yo is currently going down, or maybe it's at the bottom, we're still on an upward trajectory. And though that trajectory is based on a wider scope, on a larger picture, location, market, quality of the property, supply and demand, those things are the climbing the hill. The yo-yo is the current coronavirus. It's going down, I recognize that, but the underlying fundamentals are still good. So that gives me confidence about that situation. The other thing I do to help me understand my investment strategy is to identify what the risk factors are and then try to educate myself on those risk factors. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I buy an older apartment complex in a neighborhood that is on the cusp of improving. And I'm the very first buyer in this neighborhood My plan is to go in and do some renovation and do some improvements and hopefully increase the rents. Well, if I'm the very first one, there is no example for me to follow. And so I really don't know if I'm going to be able to raise the rents or not, because no one in this area is currently paying the rents I intend to request. But if I'm the second or third owner who's followed that pattern, and I can say the property I'm purchasing is very similar to the property across the street, they did the same thing, well, that would make my business plan less risky. It would improve the odds of success and may give me confidence to move forward. So the point of that example is I need to identify the risk factors and then, to the very best of my ability, source that information for other examples or other knowledge to help reassure me I'm making the right decisions. And then if I don't know that, I'm going to go to an expert in that area and I'm going to get their advice. What do you think about this plan? Is this a reasonable goal to set for this new or this repositioned property? That will give me hopefully the confidence to move past that anxiety and uncertainty. So that's how I put my investment strategy together. And then the last part is the remedy for fear is action. I can do principle number one and understand every principle of investing. I can master it. I can write a book on it. I can execute, or I can put in place the perfect real estate strategy. I can find every possible risk and I can qualify that with an expert opinion. But I'm still afraid and I still have taken zero action. And I just said that my objective was to help you become a millionaire or better millionaire, not to think about it, but to become one. And so the third step is this, and it may be the most important, is take action. You've got to take action. Okay, that's scary. What if I lose money? What if this investor is not straight or he's not honest? I understand that. That's a legitimate concern. So my recommendation is to start small, and then as your confidence grows, you can increase your amount investments. The second recommendation is to go with an experienced group. What does experience mean? You can have 30 years of experience, or you can have 1 year of experience repeated 30 years, 30 times. What I'm looking for when I talk to an investor group is, hey, what is your experience? How many properties do you own? What are the results of those things? What are the lessons you've learned, and how have you changed your strategy? Do you have any referrals that I can speak to, or somebody that I can get a personal recommendation from? You put all of these things together and you get a feel for, can this person be trusted? Can I work with them? And can they credential themselves for what they've said? When you get to that point, it's time to act. It's time to realize that in every chance or every opportunity I've had to buy real estate, there's always been that point where I've signed a check, and it's that sense of, what am I getting myself into? But you just have to move forward. I remember the very first single family house I bought. It was in the early 2000s, and I signed a check for $5,000, and I thought, boy, this is a lot of money. Just recently, in our HUD loan for a project we have down in Austin, the project cost is $52 million, and it's a huge difference. And it's an example. Both were uncomfortable, but it's an example of what I'm talking about. I started small, and then I grew my confidence through the suggestions that I've offered to you, to where now $52 million investment. It's a big deal, but I'm confident that we have the right principles in place. I'm confident that our strategy is sharp, and I'm confident to take action. I encourage you to take action today. Do something today to step through that fear. Our group, Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group, is offering you a free video education and training series that I want to ask you to watch videos like this on topics like this so that you'll be ready to act, you'll be ready to invest, and help you become a better millionaire.